In 2003, researchers placed the skull of a dead elephant in front of her family. The family had not seen her in weeks. They approached the skull slowly. One by one, each elephant extended its trunk and touched it. The forehead, the jaw, the tusks. They stood there for over an hour. Then they walked away. They did the same thing with the skulls of 2 other elephants they had never met. They touched those briefly and moved on. They knew which one was hers. We have a habit with animal behavior. Something happens. A dog cries at its owner's grave. A crow holds a vigil over a dead companion. A chimpanzee carries her dead infant for weeks, and we immediately reach for the nearest human word: grief, mourning, love. Scientists spent most of the 20th century arguing that this was bad thinking, sloppy, anthropomorphic. The animal was behaving as if it felt something. What happened inside was off limits, unmeasurable, not a legitimate subject of inquiry. That position has been quietly falling apart for 30 years. Not because scientists got softer, because the data got harder to explain away. Start with the hardware. The structure that generates what we call emotion in the human brain is called the limbic system. The amygdala processes threat. The hippocampus stores emotional memory for not just that something was dangerous, but specifically what, where, and when. The cingulate cortex registers when something matters. These are not new structures. They are among the oldest parts of the vertebrate brain. A rat amygdala and a human amygdala use the same neurotransmitters, activate under the same conditions, and produce measurable changes in the same hormones. When a rat is placed back in a cage where it was previously harmed, its cortisol rises. Its behavior reorganizes around threat. The physiological signature of fear appears, measured objectively in the blood. What it means from the inside is where the science goes quiet. In 2012, a group of prominent neuroscientists signed what became known as the Cambridge Declaration on Consciousness. The document stated that non-human animals possess the neurological substrates for conscious states. Not that they are conscious the way humans are conscious, that the hardware is present, broadly. The question of what runs on it remained open. Jaak Panksepp spent 40 years trying to answer it. He was a neuroscientist at Washington State University. His method was unusual. He tickled rats. Juvenile rats during rough and tumble play produce ultrasonic chirps at around 50 kilohertz outside human hearing range. The same chirps appeared when Panksepp's team tickled them. Rats that produced more chirps actively sought out the researcher's hand. Rats that stopped chirping had withdrawn from social engagement entirely. Panksepp argued he was not documenting behavior that resembled emotion. He was documenting a primary emotional system, a functional circuit evolved for social bonding and play, running in the brain below conscious control, using the same neurochemical architecture that produces joy in humans. He mapped 7 of these systems across all mammals: fear, rage, panic/grief, seeking, lust, care, peace, play. He used capitals deliberately to separate the raw biological systems from the complex human experiences that build on top of them. His argument was precise. Rats do not feel joy the way you feel joy. They run a system that operates on the same substrate, activated by the same class of input, producing the same class of output. Whether that system generates experience, whether there is something it is like to be the rat seeking the tickling hand, was the question he believed science was finally equipped to take seriously. He died in 2017. The question is still open. The data he left behind is not. Return to the elephants. Cynthia Moss studied the Amboseli elephant population in Kenya for over 40 years. What she documented was not occasional anomaly. It was consistent, specific, repeatable behavior. When an elephant dies, its family returns to the body. They touch it with their trunks. The deliberate, slow contact used between living elephants in greeting and comfort. They stand nearby for hours. They sometimes cover the body partially with soil and vegetation. Months later, family members have been observed returning to the location unprompted. They approach the bones. They touch the skull and tusks, specifically, not the ribs, not the limbs. The parts that most distinctly identify the individual. They do this with the remains of animals they knew. They do not do it with the bones of strangers. The trunk matters. It contains more than 40,000 individual muscles. Its nerve ending density is comparable to human fingertips. When an elephant extends its trunk to touch something slowly and deliberately, it is not a casual gesture. It is examination, the most sensitive instrument in the animal's body applied with intention. In 2006, researchers confirmed that elephants possess von Economo neurons, spindle neurons previously assumed to be a primate innovation associated with rapid social and emotional processing. They evolved independently in elephants, whales, and great apes. The same cognitive pressure, complex social life, shifting emotional context, decisions that require reading others accurately produce the same neural architecture in completely separate lineages. The hardware is not coincidental, it is convergent. Evolution kept building it because it kept working. The crow problem sits differently. When a crow dies, other crows gather. Not randomly, they congregate specifically around unfamiliar dead crows, more than for living unfamiliar crows, more than for dead animals of other species. They produce alarm calls. They avoid the area afterward for a measurable period. Kaylee Swift at the University of Washington studied this systematically for years, controlling for every obvious confound. Her functional explanation is clean. A dead crow is threat information. Something in this location kills crows. The gathering is intelligence collection. The avoidance is learned threat response. Every part of this is adaptive. None of it requires grief. But crows also learn the specific faces of humans they associate with danger at those sites. They pass that information to offspring who were never present. They will harass a specific person, a specific face, years after a single threatening encounter across a city in locations far from where it happened. What do you call a system that identifies who caused harm, retains that information across years, recruits others into the response, and reorganizes future behavior around a specific individual? The human word for that is a grudge, which is almost certainly the wrong word, but wrong in an interesting direction. Here's where the science actually stands. The neurological infrastructure for something like emotion, threat processing, social bonding, grief-adjacent states, play systems, is documented across a far wider range of species than anyone predicted. It did not evolve once in humans and stop. It emerged repeatedly in modified form wherever the conditions that made it useful appeared. What that infrastructure runs is the part we cannot fully answer. The honest scientific position is not yes, animals feel emotions, or no, they don't. It is that the question was constructed wrong from the beginning. Emotion is not a single thing. It is a cluster of functional systems. Threat response, social engagement, motivational drive, memory integration that in humans happen to produce experiences we recognize as feelings. Other animals run versions of those systems. Whether those versions generate anything we would recognize from the inside is a question about consciousness that the available tools cannot yet reach. Panksepp believed the answer was probably yes, in a form that was real, genuinely different from human experience, and for which we have not built the vocabulary yet. The elephant at the bones of her family member is doing something. The measurement exists for the cortisol, the neural activation, the specificity of the behavior, what it is to stand there, what, if anything, moves through that animal in that place, is the part the data goes quiet on. We keep reaching for human words because they are the only words we have. That may be the most honest thing the science has produced. Not an answer, a better understanding of why the question is so hard.